Hello turtles. We're gonna go fishing. Let's go for another outside game dev adventure and talk about when and why you should cancel a project. When should you be discarding a project? How do you know if you should be discarding a project, and what to do if you feel that you need to cancel a project and move on? It's the White Mountain National Forest in Maine and New Hampshire, but we're on the Maine side. And we're gonna be fishing the Wild River, which is what we're crossing right now. So let's walk up the river a little bit and go for a fish. Sometimes it's good to power on through, and sometimes it's better just to get wrapped up and, you know, cancel it. I've had to do that a couple times, and there can be a time when you just put it on hold and return later. Why would you ever consider canceling your project? Well, maybe it's not fun anymore, or maybe it's just been too difficult to find something that you would to find a solution for something that you thought was going to be easier. I don't know if it's actually a fishing hole or not, but we're just gonna come on down through the woods and get ourselves over to the river. Get the line in the water. And so here we got stuck. Yep, it sucks. But yeah, sometimes you get stuck on a project, you know? And when you do, you gotta find a solution. In this case, it might be walking over there and getting the hook undone, and in the case of your project, maybe it's cutting a feature, or maybe it's not putting as many levels in as you expected because they take longer than you thought they would. Sometimes you run up against this problem that you can't actually solve, at least from where you're at, with either knowledge or resources or whatever. Like maybe you don't have enough time, maybe you don't have enough money. And if your project runs into one of those types of issues, it might be time to think about putting it on hold or canceling it altogether. Move on to the next project that you can design around the problem that you found. Like you figured out that it was going to take a lot more money and time to build than what the project could possibly return. This is more aimed for those that are doing it as a business, because ultimately as a business you are trying to make money. While you might be able to finish the project still, it could take a lot longer than you anticipated. This happened to me back in 2018 with Rally of Rockets, when I realized that to hit the quality bar that I was now aiming for, I had changed the quality bar mid-project. And to hit that new quality bar, it was going to take significantly more effort to get there. Right, so in 2018 when I canceled Rally of Rockets, I had done my research and figured out that a lot of indie racing games make $10,000 to $15,000. That's basically the ballpark. There are some hits, obviously there's a bunch of hits that are hundreds of thousands, probably even millions of dollars, but I was trying to look at the overall picture. And the overall picture says the return on investment is $10,000 to $15,000 is probably a safer bet than going bigger. So I've been trying to aim my project sizes to about $10,000 to $15,000. That includes my time cost as well as hiring out extra help and stuff. Maybe this is the bad way to look at it, because maybe some of the games I was looking at didn't do marketing or failed in other ways that I couldn't tell. Some made $10,000 to $15,000, so that's where I was aiming my first marks at. And Rally of Rockets was going to take probably $30,000 in time cost and hiring extra help, which made it so it wasn't worthwhile. But maybe you're not doing game development as a business, maybe you're a hobbyist, or maybe you just haven't found the fun. Maybe you've come out of the prototype phase thinking you found fun, or thinking that more polish and content and features was going to increase the amount of fun the game provided, and the mechanic was only a quick little gimmick. Would be great for a mini game, but maybe not a full game based entirely around that one mechanic, right? Ideally you find that out in prototyping. It's not always possible, but ideally you do. Yeah, if your game idea isn't fun, it doesn't provide value to your target audience, or you're doing it for a hobby and you don't care about the target audience, but you're not having fun doing it, that might be another sign that you would want to cancel or discard a project. Yeah, maybe your interest is gone. Maybe that's time to put it on hold for a while. Haven't caught any fish, but I'm still trying. It's kind of like, when do I move on from this spot? Maybe you're a hobbyist and the project is just grinding on you and you're not really interested in doing it. If you're a hobbyist, at least in my view, the objective isn't the creation as much as the process of creating. So if you're not enjoying the process of creating, maybe you want to discard this project, cancel it, put it on hold, move on to something else, just because you want to, right? You're a hobbyist after all. Go ahead and do the things you want. You don't need to finish a project if you don't want, or if it's getting grindy or uninteresting or something. Whether you're a hobbyist or a business, you sometimes need to pay attention to what you're interested in or what you're feeling burned out on. Sometimes you need a break. It might not be time to cancel your project. Maybe you just need a break from it. Sometimes that could be putting it on hold to explore other ideas, or even just taking a small vacation. Come back with a fresh mind after doing a little bit of something else, and maybe things will be singing to you a little bit better. Let's just say you've decided that your project should be canceled for whatever the reasons above. Does that mean you've failed? Absolutely not. No, you definitely have not failed. You've learned something, you've grown along the way, and you've created at least something. Maybe it's not a finished project, maybe it's not even good, I don't know. Still means you've learned something. You have tried, you have put some effort into exploring an idea. Maybe the idea wasn't fun, or things just didn't work as it got a little bit bigger. Whatever the reason, take some time to reflect on it, and you'll find that you have learned things to avoid next time. You should absolutely try going for another project as long as you're interested in it, and it doesn't mean you failed. It does not mean you're a failure as a game developer. I have hundreds of skeletons in my closet that I've learned and moved on from, and sometimes that's hard, right? Sometimes it is a challenge. You look at it as, oh, I just spent 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long you've been working on your project, and you've got nothing to show for it. But you might not have a game to show for it, but you have knowledge and experience, and you've learned these things along the way that you will do better next time, right? It'll help your adventure. So keep on going. A popular view or saying is to fail as fast as you can. Fail early, fail fast. You're really trying to succeed, but you want to find the failure points as fast as you can. That's where prototyping your project comes in, where you're trying to figure out if it's all going to succeed or not. If your project is canceled and you're looking at it as a failure, make that decision, right? Make the decision to cancel it and continue on to the next thing, and you've learned. So fail as fast as you can. Find the failure points of a project, tackle those, and if you can't solve the problem, either adjust, change your project so that you can work around the problem, or if it's critical, then cancel it, right? That's what we're talking about. You've canceled your project, you're not a failure, you've learned something, you failed fast maybe, maybe the next one you'll fail faster, who knows. But how do you actually go about canceling the project? And this depends a lot on where you were. Sometimes you can just put it off in a different folder. I would recommend keeping it. I wouldn't really recommend just like completely throwing it away. You might find you want to jump back to it someday, or you want pieces from it in a different project. So definitely keep it, store it in an archive somewhere. I have a huge folder of legacy projects that I've basically thrown away effectively, but they're still there. Does the community know about your project, or do you have a following either on YouTube, a devlog, anywhere? Do you have a community of sorts that you need to notify? Because they should be notified and informed about your decision to change gears. Whether you're going to be working on a new project or whatever you're going to be doing in your next endeavor, you should let them know. There are going to be some hurt feelings. Some people are going to be tied to your project, but if you've made the decision to cancel it, stay true to it. Does your community have any expectations from the project that you need to fulfill? Things like, did you send out an early access that people are buying, and you really do need to wrap the project up in at least some form of bow that says this is complete enough for you. Don't leave them completely hanging. Don't just leave them with something broken. So make sure that's in a good state. But it's a little bit harder if you've accepted money. If they have reasonable expectations, then make sure you fulfill them and end everything on a good note, or as good of a note as you can. Point them to your next venture. Like, it's really important to be like, hey, I'm gonna go start this new game. come follow me if you're interested in that. You've already built up a part of a community somewhere, so use that to springboard your next ventures. And if your community is pretty big, there will be people that will be following you for your personality, as long as that's the type of creator you are. So you've canceled the project, fulfilled any reasonable expectations any community might have had for early access or whatever it might be, and you've let your community know that, hey, things are going to be different going forward. But what do you do next? I would assume you've taken the time to reflect and learn whatever you could from the process of canceling a project. There's usually a bunch of things that could have been either better or that led to the circumstances. Get that figured out and kind of jot it down so you'll remember it for any future work. Just know that discarding a project can actually reduce your risk as a business, especially if you weren't sure the return on investment was going to be worth it in the end. You're reducing your risk. Reducing the risk is very important for the viability of becoming a full-time indie, which I talk about in this video. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Outside Game Dev. We went fishing, didn't catch anything, but that happens. Talked a little bit about canceling the project. I hope you never have to, but if you do, I hope you learn something along the way and don't feel too bad about it, because it happens to everyone. So go check out the video on becoming a full-time indie dev and some of the ways to reduce your risk. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and leave a comment below. Until later, turtles, have a good one.